Because the dancing and the working it's not just something that I do. It's something that I am.
Most of us remember Gene Anthony Ray from the popular 80s movie and television series Fame. He was born on May 24, 1962 in Harlem, New York, and became an actor, dancer, and a choreographer. The movie Fame was released in theaters on May 16, 1980, and the series ran from 1982 to 1987. Gene played teenager LEROY Johnson, who had a passion for dancing but was belligerent and used sarcasm and ridicule when speaking to others. A gifted dancer both on and off screen, Gene's problems with substance abuse forbade him from fulfilling a prosperous comeback after his Fame popularity diminished. Gene grew up in a rugged section of Harlem throughout the 60s and 70s. During his teenage years, he was a roughneck with good looks and a street dancer who used his talent to win neighborhood dance battles. He won every competition he entered, and he entered every competition that he became aware of. He even won the Best Male Disco Dancer award at the iconic New York City music venue, the Roseland Ballroom. While attending high school in Manhattan, Gene auditioned for the movie Fame, one of 2,500 teenagers trying out for the part, and 16-year-old Gene instantly won choreographers and producers over with his innovative dance moves. After receiving the part on his 17th birthday, it was obvious that he was a perfect fit for the cast. The fictional film depicts the lives of teenage students at the New York High School of Performing Arts who discover that it is an uphill battle to make it into show business. They struggle with the uneventful stresses of adolescence, family problems, sorrow, rejection, and schoolwork while competing with one another. The film was a box office hit and received several awards and nominations, including 2 Oscars in 1981. The film's soundtrack made history, becoming the first soundtrack to have 2 songs from the same film sang by the same artist, performed by Irene Cara. Gene's character, LEROY, was much like who he was in real life, a street-smart teenager who had his own unique dance style and a temperamental nature. After making his film debut, Gene became very popular and stayed busy. In 1981, he starred as Friday in the television comedy Robinson Crusoe and Man Friday. Later that year, the success of the movie Fame gave producers the idea of a spin-off series. The television series Fame began airing on NBC on Thursday, January 7, 1982. The show struggled for ratings in the United States, but became a bona fide hit in Europe. It aired at the same time as Magnum P.I. on CBS and Mork and Mindy on ABC, which decreased its chances of gaining the success executives were hoping for. LEROY was one of the few characters that starred in both the film and the television series, and it was to a great degree that his presence made them both immediate hits. Gene's athletic physique, combined with his formidable dance moves and balletic routines, made him an instant heartthrob among teenagers all over the world. He often wore short shorts and pulled his shirt over his head and around his shoulders to exploit his chest. Some speculated that he was gay, but when asked about his private life, he always replied that the only women he was in love with was his mother. In the 80s, being gay was usually kept secret as it was a quick way to end a career. In 1982, Gene toured the UK with other Fame cast members. From December 27th to January 1st, they performed 8 shows at 4 venues in front of over 70,000 people. As a result of the tour's success, a television special about the tour titled The Kids from Fame was broadcast in the U.S. in March of 1983 and featured clips from the concert and behind-the-scenes footage. After filming of the second season of the Fame series was complete, the cast went back overseas for a second tour, which added dates in the Netherlands and Israel. Gene had become such a superstar that he had to hire 2 assistants to manage the massive amounts of fan mail that he received on a daily basis. In June of 1983, Gene's mother and grandmother were arrested during a series of drug raids that took place in Harlem and in the Bronx. His mother was charged with peddling heroin and cocaine to undercover officers, and his grandmother was charged with possession of narcotics with intent to sell. In March of 1984, his mother was found guilty, and on April 3rd, she was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The stress of his family woes began to take a serious toll on Gene's mental health, and as a coping mechanism, he began to further indulge in the use of drugs. He was no stranger to stimulants, as it was later confirmed that he used drugs on break during rehearsals for the series that were allegedly distributed by his mother. After repeatedly failing to show up for rehearsals and admittedly using illegal substances, Gene was fired from the show in 1984. His use of drugs and alcohol continued to get worse, and his personal and professional life began to swiftly fall apart. He spent the remainder of his life attempting to reclaim his place in the spotlight, but was never successful. In 1985, he danced in the Weather Girls music video for their song Well a Wiggy. He had a brief success in theatrical stage plays, but unfortunately his struggles left him jobless. In 1988, Gene played Billy Nolan in the musical adaptation of the movie Carrie, written by Stephen King. He played the role in the original opening in the historic town Stratford-upon-Avon in England, which closed after less than a month. The show became infamously known as one of the theater's most notorious flops. He then transferred to Broadway and continued to play the role until the musical closed after only 16 previews and 5 regular performances. In 1989, he headed a show at the Grand Slam in Los Angeles, a nightclub that was owned by the artist formerly known as Prince, but that too ended at full tilt. Gene then moved to Milan, Italy, to launch a Fame-style dance company, but his partying continued and he blew large amounts of money on his drug habit, and the dance company never came to fruition. Having squandered his wealth to feed his drug habit, Gene was unemployed and rumors spread that he was homeless. In 1995, in another attempt to revive his career, Gene appeared in the crime drama film Out of Sync, which was directed by his Fame co-star and mentor Debbie Allen. The following year, he played a dancer in the Whoopi Goldberg sports comedy film Eddie, and was also credited as associate choreographer. He made special appearances on television series, performed on cruise ships, and did TV commercials for Diet Coke and Dr. Pepper, but substantial employment proved elusive. In the latter part of 1996, Gene was diagnosed with HIV. In 2002, while still in Milan, he was seen by a camera crew from the entertainment channel E! Posting flyers for a male stripper review that he was headlining under the stage name LEROY Johnson. The crew reported that he appeared to be thin and weak. He was also spotted in public sleeping on park benches and under the influence. Eventually, Gene was forced to move back to New York due to his heightening health and financial issues. His last video project was Remember My Name, a 1-hour Fame reunion documentary taped in Los Angeles in April 2003, where he had tired eyes and a decrease in speech quality. 2 months later, in June, he suffered a stroke that left him quite ill. Sadly, he passed away on November 14, 2003, from complications of the stroke. He was only 41 years old. The saddest part about his death is that there was little to no media coverage to advise his fans of his death. Rumors spread that his demise was a result of complications from AIDS, but there has been no solid evidence that his HIV diagnosis turned to the AIDS disease. Gene's talents and contributions will never be forgotten. How unfortunate it is that the world will never see the full scope of what he had to offer. In spite of it all, his character LEROY Johnson will forever be remembered. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more uploads like this one. Thanks for watching.